Good morning to all of you. Thank you. So I'm going to be saying thank you for the next 3 hours, so I might as well start off by saying thank you. And we've got such an impressive array of people for something that is such an incredible moment, an amazing thing to do. It's a special memorial service, this, but it's for a special man. So it's absolutely right that we bring it together. And 60 years ago, he had no send-off. He was older, very quietly and almost with embarrassment, I suspect. So we're correcting that today. So it's a massive thank you to each and every one of you. And we are so many honoured guests. But the introduction to our service is coming from the Lord Mayor.
I mean, when I say thank you for the invitation, I was just saying to Chris, one of my roles, as well as being Lord Mayor for the city, is being the Armed Forces Champion for the last 3 years. I took that role on with pleasure because I served back with the King's Springs Home back in the 60s and seen service then. And in reality, we always talk about people like Bernard, not only as has been mentioned, how he wasn't treated fairly back in 62, but then from the First World War onwards, as it was then, it was men only, but then how men weren't treated correctly after the war. Nobody correctly treated after every action that's ever been taken, both men and women now. So I'm just so happy today, at least we can recognise something and hope. So I'll just, if I may, as I'm getting older now, I need notes. So I'll just make sure I don't want to miss anything off, so I'll do this. As Armed Forces Champion of the city, I'm delighted to be here today and to be part of such a significant occasion to commemorate and pay tribute to Machine Gunner Bernard Melia. His is a remarkable though tragic story that has only recently surfaced thanks to the determination of his grandchildren and his cousin Chris Bent. Like many that returned from the war, he hardly spoke of his experiences for many decades, and his unnamed grave in this cemetery done little justice to what is a local hero. It is an incredible tribute that his grandchildren have now rectified this matter, and his new headstone stands proudly recognising his valour and sacrifice. Today we are sharing a moment of remembrance, and I am honoured as an ex-member of Bernard's Brigade to be part of today's event. It must be heartwarming for Bernard's family to see so many people from many generations here today commemorating the life of a brave man. Traumas that Bernard and his comrades went through due to the horrors they witnessed will never be imagined. It is therefore to our shame that there is no recognition of what these men suffered during that war and afterwards, thereby receiving no help and little support. We can never know what impact this had upon Bernard's decision in 1962, but I'm sure that he and many of his comrades would want us to look after the young armed forces personnel better than he and his comrades were ever looked after. In my view, today's events and those like it can help today's and future generations to understand how our country has evolved and how important it is to respect and remember those from the armed forces who risk their lives daily, today and then, and to ensure today's and future generations receive the help and support that sadly is missing from Bernard and many of his generation. Thank you.
Thank you for those beautiful words. I think the way we're going to start our service is to try and tell Bernard's life story. How do you tell Bernard's life story in just a few minutes? But we've attempted to do that. We're going to do that in two parts. So we're going to start with, these are now great-grandchildren that we'll be honouring. So Anna's going to come up first and do the first part of the story.
My great-grandfather Bernard was born in Liverpool on the 20th of June 1897. He was the seventh and last child of James and Margaret. His father worked in the iron foundry, and after the war, Bernard worked as a fitter on the docks. The family were brought up in the Scotland Road area of Liverpool. Sadly, his mother Margaret died when he was only 10 years old, leaving his father James to look after the family on his own. 6 years after the end of the war, Bernard married Catherine King, and 9 months later, they had a daughter, whom they named Catherine. She was my nan, known to everyone as Kit, and was one very special lady indeed. Bernard and Catherine were not together for long, and just like his father before him, my great-grandfather had to look after his family on his own. He spent many of his final years with his sister May, who is buried with him here, so we also remember her too today. I am so very proud to be a descendant of Bernard's. My mum Eileen was 13 when he died, and I know she loved him very much. We now, thanks to Chris's incredible efforts, have learnt so much about his war. We can see just what a brave man he was, that felt a pride in serving his country, his king, and his God. He joined up with the 17th King's Liverpool in May 1915 when he was only 17, claiming to be 19 on his signing up documents. His high intellect was immediately identified, and he was soon receiving specialist training to become a machine gunner. This was the most dangerous job of all, and with it a short life expectancy at the front. The MGC became known as the Suicide Club. By the middle of 1916, 6 days before the Battle of the Somme, he was about to be sent to the Western Front.
Sent to the front, a monumental time undoubtedly, and a shock to everyone for what they found. But I think it's appropriate now that we read The Send-Off is such a beautiful poem by Wilfred Owen that describes what it must have felt like seeing those men about to head off, and clearly Bernard was one of them. So we've got, again, great-grandchildren, Sean and James. So Sean is going to do the first verse and James will follow.
Down the closed darkened lanes, they found their way to the sergeant's shed. Behind the train with faces grim and kept. Their breasts were struck all white with heat and spray as men's objects. The reporters watched them with casual tramp, stood staring hard. Sorry to miss them from the folded camp. Then, unmoved, signals nodded on a lamp, wrinkled to the ground. So secretly, quite on the footstool. They went not on, we never heard. It's from deep west then. Still there, they were yet what women meant, who gave them them flowers. Shall they return to beatings of great bells and wild train loads? A few, toot for drums and yells, may creep back, silent, to still wells, up half million roads.
So I think that encapsulates the view of going to war. And for the second part of Bernard's story, Patrick's going to tell us, to retell.
My great-granddad Bernard left the France in 2022 and within 1 month he found himself fighting in the two worst theatres of war in the West of France, the Somme and Ypres. On 9th of April 1917, the first day of the Battle of Ypres, he was wounded in the leg and admitted to the Royal Stationary Hospital at the same time. He was then sent back to England, returning to France 5 months later. After After just a few weeks back in action, he was badly gassed during the Third Battle of Ypres. On 29th of October 1917, he was recuperating at the military hospital in Ypres. He returned to France at the end of March 2018. Excuse me, I'm in a year. So sorry. Obviously not 2018. 1918. During the German spring defence and received a gunshot wound to the head on the second day of the Battle of the Ypres. He returned to base camp at Camiers, where he stayed for a month before getting back to Ypres. In August 1918, he was struck down with influenza for 2 months, and on the 11th of November 1918, when the armistice was signed, he was in Tragically in Belgium. He served again during the Irish problem of 1921, where he joined for 90 days emergency service. There's no doubt that the type of man he was, he would have signed up for World War II, but he was deemed not fit for service. But he did, however, serve his country again as medical support during the bombing of Ypres. Machine gun forts were known as the suicide club, and that's what they were doing damage to the until 1960. You can only imagine the horrors that they all saw and went through. And my mum who's happy here today. She was 3 at the time. She's the youngest of the grandchildren. And I think I speak for us all here when I say it doesn't even start to scratch the surface when they say how proud and grateful we are for everything that he did for us and enabled us to have. So, to paraphrase my nana and his daughter, looking around here, yes, you are responsible for this one.
Will know of, or will probably not know, was hopefully going to come and sing the song. She created this lovely song for Bernard. There aren't many soldiers that have a song written about them, but Bernard did. And if I can catch the eye of my technical manager, we're not going to play the whole song, but we're going to play just a little bit of it, a minute and a bit of it. In particular, I just wanted to, there were 2 lines that his grandchildren particularly kept saying to me. One was greatest gift, finding this out, the greatest gift you can give anybody. And the other one was, now we understand. And if you just look at the base of the grave, you will see the words, now we understand, which I think perfectly tell the story. So we're just going to do, if the technology works, we're just going to do a minute and a half of that. And a big thank you for Fran, who's kind of here by us playing it. Sorry, we cut that up a bit quick, but I just thought it was lovely to bring that in. Those words are just so perfect. It's a shame really in so many ways, but because Bernard was in the machine gun corps, there is no regiment for us to turn to say, could somebody from his regiment come along? Machine gun corps broke at the end of the First World War, went back to serving within their regiments. But I have to say, I think I've done better than that. A really good friend of mine who's supported so many events for me over the years, Arnie, has come here, and he runs the Armed Services Community Support Group. He's clearly a man that deals with the sort of things in modern day wars that Bernard went through. So it's a real honour for all of us to have Arnie to say a few words, so I thank him massively. And he won't need this.
I had loads and loads of things I was going to say, but listening to everybody else and the story about Bernard, I want to try and narrow this down and be brief. So Bernard joined the army in 1960, I joined the army in 1986. Bernard joined the army to fight a queen of country. I joined the army to get away from my council estate because I'd end up in prison. Bernard went to war. I went to war. I went to numerous locations: Northern Ireland, Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, Afghanistan. The difference being between me and Bernard at that moment in time is when I deployed to war, I had tanks, I had big machine guns, big missiles, big aeroplanes, so much equipment, and boys and girls behind working in the background to make sure that whatever task or mission we were given, we succeeded. Bernard didn't have that. Bernard had the chap to his left and his right. And I understand that, and I can relate to that. And some people forget. When people look at me and talk to me, I get some people who I would explain as they talk to my medals. They tell me what a hero I am. Oh, fantastic, you must have done a lot to deserve that. Yeah, I did. But so did every other person that was with me, supporting me to do my job. Bernard didn't have that. When I was after serving 26 years in the army, I thought I was fine. I didn't talk to anybody really about my time in the army. Anybody talked to me, what did you do? I'd walk away. I'd go into a little quiet place and I'd just think about people that I lost. So I can understand Bernard when he came back from the war and didn't want to talk about it. The difference between me and Bernard is I had friends around me to support other veterans, other agencies that could help me talk through my issues and my PTSD and my mental health. Bernard didn't have that. So when you see the younger generation, believe it or not, I am the younger generation when we're doing these sort of things, we're not heroes. We do a job and we're proud of doing that job, the same as Bernard was. But just bear in mind, we all have memories, we all have issues, and just being able to talk about it, not pressure, but just to talk about it, will make a heck of a difference for every other soldier, sailor and airman out there. So when people talk to me, don't talk to me as I'm a hero. That gentleman there is a hero because he carried it for all of his life on his own. Thank you.
Now, that's another incredibly close connection to Bernard's story, because we do know, with all the work that we did and we found out in our research, is that he was when he was in the 12th Machine Gun Corps, he was positioned just behind Essex Farm Cemetery. And Essex Farm, we know, is where John McCrae, who wrote the poem that we all know, in Flanders Field, which is kind of a symbol of the poppy where it came from. So remarkably, we can say that Bernard saw the poppies that were alongside the crosses, row on row. It's an incredible connect. And we're going to have Helen, Declan and Melia are going to read that poem, which is absolutely beautiful.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow,
between the crosses, row on row, that mark the place, and in the sky, the larks so bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below.
We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt all, saw sunset glow, loved and well loved, and now we lie, Flanders fields.
Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold us high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
And I should have concluded that by saying that was another family link of great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren, which just makes that absolutely fantastic. I did mention that we haven't got a regiment, but Marn is well covered that off and more. But there is a Machine Gun Corps Old Comrades Association, and I think if they were local they would have come today, but I think that they're based in London, certainly the contacts I've tried. But Colin, who I think we can describe as grandson-in-law, is there such a thing? There is now. So Colin is going to read the words that their honorary secretary wrote specially for us today in honour of the service that we're doing. And if you can't find it on this phone, I've got a hard copy of it.
So these are the words from the Machine Gun Corps Old Comrades Association, and the words were from Judith Lappin, who is the Honorary Secretary. Dear friends, the Machine Gun Corps was formed in 1915 after the generals realised the importance of the weapons and how they needed to deploy them correctly. The machine gunners went forward to cover the infantry as they advanced and stayed behind covering any retreat. They were the bravest of the brave. And because of the high mortality rate, they were often called the Suicide Club. Bernard Melia was one of those brave men who helped win the war. The sights that he saw, the battles that he participated in as a very young man were terrifying, and they never left him. Bernard probably had undiagnosed PTSD at the time. At the time, men didn't talk about their experiences, apart from occasionally when they met their fellow comrades at the local branch of the Old Comrades Association, or they went to London for the annual observance and reunion luncheon. Nobody else could possibly understand what the men experienced overseas. Bernard was one of many who survived, but never again felt as they had as young men entering the war. I am sorry I am unable to attend the special service for one of our own today, but rest assured that the service Bernard gave this country is not forgotten. We do remember them. put it on. Guys, I'm going to annoy Chris more than ever.
Impossible.
Largely by taking more than 1 minute, and secondly by thanking him in particular. So, I mean, we have come here to the Grandad. But we're doing more than that, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Chris. We're here in our small way to put the prize, and funny enough, reiterating something the fellow speakers have previously said. But we are here because of Chris's research into the matter, and in doing so we're putting a little bit of right to a great wrong, a historical wrong. 60 years ago, when Grandad took his life, so he was not barely remembered on the day of his funeral. The shame, it was almost a shame in committing suicide. What an ill society performs on people of that sort of nature, that sort of suffering. What an ill. Thankfully things have changed by society, and largely, and as well as specifically people who go to serve who suffer. But as a family, we have the opportunity, because of Chris, to put a little bit of right into the situation. To have laid there for 60 years, unmarked. Sorry.
No. That was reacting to his emotion.
No, but to lie there for 60 years, we truly are honoured, and it is because of this, we are truly honoured to right that wrong of so long ago, admittedly in a small way, but we are, I'm sure I'm speaking for everybody, we are so thankful that we're able to do it.
Pete, I think you're going to follow that.
I won't repeat what Dave's already said, and lots of us that to say there, but my reflections on obviously without Chris and the flight man over there who recorded it for everybody to be able to remember. Jeff, he won't thank me for mentioning him either, but what a great job he did. And as Dave has said already, unmarked Dave here, such a lovely headstone now, our Grandad to be remembered. The reflection of it, for Grandad, for me, what did I remember? Not a great deal of him. I was just short of the 5th birthday when he unfortunately, took his life. But the connection I've got now, it's absolutely unbelievable. The emotions, the job that Chris has, I know Chris won't thank me here, but the job that Chris has done to bring Grandad to us to Grandad. And it's so emotional, and I look out at all these people now, not just the grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, friends of the family, people behind us, the 2 lads with the flag bearers there, what job they've done, so never done this before. It is a great tribute, and one of the things I will tell, while we were over in Belgium, I just got the strangest feeling. I remember turning to Chris, Jeff and Dave and saying, I feel as though we're leaving Grandad behind there. We can't, with just the connection now, and I'll be forever grateful to Chris and to everybody here now. It's just lovely, the thoughts, and ever since our Belgium trip and since Chris has done the research, I can genuinely say, there's not been a day past that I've not thought of Grandad, and he's into our life now, and much more than ever before. It's fantastic, that's all I can say.
I think we're going to finish with Kath's going to speak.
They had a really lovely relationship, and as you'd expect from a man bringing his only child up by himself, with only the help of his less than robust sister, they were very close. Mum always said the granddad was quiet, and it was her granddad who was a fun one, while Bernard was introverted and reflective. Mum used to love to meet granddad at Bramley Mall Dock, where he worked as a crane operator. They were making sandwiches at the time of night, and she'd love to walk back home with him when he finished his shift. He used to take her to Goodison and tell her off for not concentrating on the game. "Oi, I've not spent 2 bob for you to twirl over the railings," Mum would always recall him saying. Close as they were, he couldn't tell Mum all of his war story. She wasn't even born while that was happening to him. But she knew he'd been a machine gunner and he'd been gassed and shot more than once. That's a lot for a youngster to hear. No doubt he had undiagnosed mental health issues because of the war. He saw Mum through to adulthood and bloom into a beautiful woman and an amazing mum. Mum had no knowledge of the beast that haunted his sleeping cows and stalked his little ones, and the very cruel nature of the beast meant that he could only find peace by harming himself and bringing his life to an end. Mum missed him and grieved for him for the rest of her life, but it didn't mean she understood what he did until Chris, with his relentless quest for the truth, highlighted his war record. It's with such gratitude that we can say that Mum did come to understand all of Grandad's bravery and desperation. Because when the story was just beginning to be uncovered, Mum was in hospital recovering from a fall. It was during lockdown, but Joni and I were allowed to visit Mum and told her what we knew about Grandad through Chris's research. She was able then to talk more about Grandad and his quiet ways, and wanted us to thank Chris for his work. Thank you, Chris, on behalf of Mum. Not easily moved to tears. Even then she was fighting them back, but she was definitely more understanding of Grandad's struggles and eventual suicide than she'd ever been. I'm so glad that we had the opportunity to tell her that it was probably because of their relationship that Grandad battled on in life for so long, when without Mum he may have ended his life a lot sooner. So thank you everybody as well for coming in this lovely day. Pay your respects.
Okay, thank you. We have honoured Bernard in a way even better than I thought we were going to. We are going to finish now in an appropriate manner. Liam's going to read 2 verses from Lawrence Binion's Fallen, and as soon as that's finished we're going to have a minute's silence, and then the last post will be followed, and that will conclude the service. So we're only a couple of minutes or more away from getting in the drive. So Liam, if you want to come forward behind.
They were with songs to the battle, they were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncountered, they fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Start a minute's silence now. that does end the service. So thank you. I did say I'm going to do loads of thank yous. Thank you to... Oh, right, okay.
Before we go down off for that hot drink and a bit of warmth, what a beautiful service and it's the first one. It's for everybody, and especially at the second, this is my part of the family. For the way that this is done as well, you have to present this to to remember the fight.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
absolutely
Oh,
thank you so much. I will honour that forever. That's wonderful. Oh, that shouldn't have happened. That wasn't in the script. Thank you so much. I'll say thank yous when we get in the dry, and just to end saying it has been an incredibly long journey this, we think 2 to 3 years to get to this point, but I don't think we could have done any better than we've done today. And you know what, I don't think it matters a jot about the weather. You know, what more matters is that we're here remembering him. So massive thanks. It has been a long journey, but it's a very short journey to West Derby Golf Club, which is left out of here and next left. So if we can take that, it'd be wonderful to see you all. If you've only got 20 minutes free, we've got so much food, we need you to take it home with you. But it would be lovely to be able to chat properly back in the dry. So thanks to everybody behind me and in front of me for an amazing day, one we will never forget. Thanks.